Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So welcome to all of you. Jazakumullah for your early arrival. And our class has now started. So jazakallah to all of those who joined early. Support teacher, can we have a student to the mic for the ta'awuz and tasmiyah, please?
And G2587, please unmute themselves.
G2587. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. G2587. Support teacher, would you like to choose some? Wa alaikum assalam. Is that G2587?
Yes.
Okay, assalamu alaikum. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. So, would you like to start the class? So, if you would recite ta'awuz.
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Okay.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Okay, and the translation?
I seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected.
Okay, and why do we recite the ta'awuz before reciting the Holy Quran? Allah tells us in the chapter 16, verse 99, and when thou recitest Quran, seek refuge with Allah from Satan the rejected. Okay, so go ahead and recite the translation.
In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful.
Jazakallah. Reciting Bismillah before every deed invokes the blessings of Allah upon that deed. It is sunnah to recite it before every good deed. Okay, Jazakallah for that. G2587. Okay, 1 minute. Okay, 1 second. We're just going to quickly go. Okay, would you like to recite the dua as well?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Allahumma inni as'aluka ilmana fiha. Okay,
so Jazakallah, that was a really good attempt. Would you like to copy me as I recite it? Yeah. So Allahumma inni as'aluka ilman fi'an. Okay, Jazakallah. So do you want to recite the translation for that?
Yes. Oh Allah, I ask you for beneficial knowledge.
Ibn Majah, hadith number 925. So Ibn Majah is one of the books of hadith. This is hadith number 925. So a hadith is a saying of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. A hadith, the plural of hadith, have been collected together and recorded. The above dua can be found in the collection known as Sunan Ibn Majah. Okay, Jazakallah G2587 for that. Okay, so on to the etiquettes of the class. And by now you all must be very familiar with these etiquettes. And as you know, because we're reading the word of Allah, it is important that we do ablution. In other words, we have to be clean ourselves before we start reciting the Holy Quran. Making ourselves clean means that we're ready in a clean way to recite the Holy Quran and recite Allah's word. So we should also have clean clothes. Our heads should be covered. And you should be sitting in a quiet place. Your parents should be present, preferably. And you should be using the correct ID. So what happens that I've seen a lot of students haven't got their correct ID for whatever reason. If you are struggling with that, then do let us know. We can help you with that and we can give you the ID. But if you don't have the correct ID, then you don't get a chance to come to the mic. And so it's really important to ensure that you have the correct ID. Okay, so this is our schedule for today. Today is class 19. And we've started with assembly, which we've just done. And the next thing we will be doing is revision of tashdid and combining tashdid. Then we'll do the practice text. Then we have the letter of the day. And today the letter of the day is qaf. And we will be doing the practice text again. And we'll be giving some students a chance to read. And then we shall consolidate at the end. So, okay, on to the lesson. Okay. So this is revision from this week. So we'll be doing tashdid today. The rule that we're revising today is tashdid. Oops, sorry. Okay, so tashdid. This is a small shaped symbol that sits above a letter. It's over here, and it looks like a W, also known as a shadda. And it's written when two same letters appear next to each other. So what happens is that there are two letters, but instead of writing those two letters, the small shadda is placed above one of the letters. Okay, so a letter carrying a shadda is called a mushaddad letter. And in this case, you can see the jeem here. This carries the shadda above it. So this is a mushaddad jeem. When two same letters are next to each other, for example, jeem in this case, only one is written and a shadda placed on top. So over here, while you can see only one jeem, there are in effect two jeems. And in Arabic, when we see two jeems together, we don't write them as two jeems. We write a small shadda above it to indicate there are two letters there. Okay, so joining. As you can see above here, we need to, a mushaddad letter joins to the most recent voweled letter. In this case, it's the su that it joins onto. Both sounds must be made. So we must press on the mushaddad letter because there are two letters there. So the first one joins onto the mutaharrik letter before it, and then you do the mutaharrik jeem after it. Okay. So tashdid, the 5 easy steps of tashdid. So step one, we identify the mushaddad letter. So as you can see, it's highlighted here. Over here, the mushaddad letter is the jeem. It carries a shadda above it and it has a kasra under it. There are two jeems here, but it is indicated with a shadda. It's not written twice. Step two, identify the vowel letter. So in this case, the vowel letter is the su, as the seen is the vowel letter, and it carries a dhamma. And in this case, it's a su. Okay, and step three, we join the mushaddad and the vowel letters. So you ignore the stroke on the mushaddad letter for now. All you have to do is join the jeem onto the su. This is how we do it. Suj. Suj. And as you can hear, it's quite a strong expression. So that's how we join the mutaharrik letter, the voweled letter, onto the mushaddad letter. Okay, step four, we look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the right sound. You can see that this jeem carries a kasra, and back over here, as you can see, it carries a shadda and a kasra. So now we're looking to see what stroke it follows after the shadda. In this case, it's a kasra. Okay, and step number 5. Combine everything together. Remember to press on the mushaddad letter. So how we recite this is sujji. Sujji. So just as a recap, we got step 1, identify the mushaddad letter. Step 2 is identify the voweled letter, which is the su. Step 3, join the mushaddad and voweled letter and ignore the stroke on the mushaddad letter for now. Step 4, look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the right sound. In this case, it's a G. And combine, step 5, combine everything together. Remember to press on the mushaddad letter. Okay, combining. Blank letters in between mutaharrik and mushaddad. So, combining. When you see a mushaddad letter, what happens is we have to combine the letters. So, the mushaddad letter is carrying a shadda. In this case, you can see over here a swad that carries a shadda. We have to combine it, but what do we have to join it onto? So mutaharrik letter is any letter carrying a stroke. We're looking for the letter that carries a stroke. So if you look over here to the arrow, it comes onto the lam that carries a dhamma. And in this case, it's a lu. So the mushaddad letter joins onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. And as you can see, there are letters in between. Over here, you have waw, alif, alif, and lam. You have to ignore all of the letters in between, and you have to join it onto the most recent mutaharrik letter. Mutaharrik letter means a letter that carries a stroke. It's a voweled letter, and you connect this letter onto the mushaddad letter. So in this case, Amilu Salihati. Okay, so going back to this, number 5, when you see a mushaddad letter, you work back to number 6, you work back till you find a voweled letter, which is this one, and then you join these two. You have to ignore any letters in between. Amilu salihati. As you can see, I didn't read any of those letters because they are dropped when we are joining the mutaharrik letter onto the mushaddad letter. Okay, nasalization. Okay, so nasalization is a sustained nasal sound. A nasal sound is a sound that comes from the nose. So there are different parts of our mouth where the sound comes from. In this case, a nasalization is a sound that vibrates inside the nose. It's not less than 2 seconds, and it's also known as ghunna in Arabic. So over here, you can see it occurs on 2 letters only. It occurs on the mim mushaddad, and it occurs on a noon mushaddad. So you follow the same steps as tashdid, but it has one extra step, and I'll explain to you. So you can see the mim mushaddad here, and this in this case mim carries a shadda. This makes it a mim mushaddad. And over here you can see a noon mushaddad because it carries a shadda above it. That means there are 2 memes here and there are 2 noons here. But these 2 letters are the exception to the case in terms of combining and shadda. So mim mushaddad, when we see a mim mushaddad, we hold it for 2 seconds. And instead of saying it for 1 second. So if you look at tashdid, including nasalization, there are 6 easy steps. And step number 1 is identify the mushaddad letter. The mim mushaddad, in this case, is the shadda letter. And step number 2, identify the voweled letter. And as we discussed before, we're joining onto the voweled letter. So in this case, it's a han. Step number 3, we join it onto the mushaddad and voweled letter. We join them together. So we ignore the stroke on the mushaddad letter. Ham. And we are to do this for 2-second elongation. Okay, so when we do step 4, is you check, is it a meme or a noon mushaddad? If it is, then it is a ghunna, which means it's a nasalization, and it's not less than 2 seconds. What does that mean? It means when you recite this meme mushaddad or a noon mushaddad, you hold the first letter, because there are 2 memes there, and you send the sound into your nose. Ham. This only occurs with the meme mushaddad and the noon mushaddad. Step number 5, look at the stroke on the mushaddad letter and make the right sound. In this case, you can see a fatha above the meme. So you would still need to say the fatha element of it too, after you've joined it onto the mutaharrik letter preceding it. So step number 6, combine everything together. Remember to press the mushaddad letter, because it has to be recited quite strongly in order for it to be joined. Hamma. Hamma. Okay, so I hope that's clear, and we shall be moving on to the recitation of our text today. So the text today is Surah Quraysh. It's a Meccan surah, and it's part number 30 of the Holy Quran. It's chapter number 106. There are 5 verses in the surah, and there is 1 ruku in the surah. The order of revelation is 29, but it's placed as chapter 106. And this was placed according to what the correct methodology was in terms of the collating the Holy Quran at the time, not according to how it was revealed. So it was the 29th surah to be revealed, but it is the 106th surah in the Holy Quran. Okay, can I have a student at the mic to start reciting, please? Jazakallah.
Can G2626 please unmute themselves?
G266, is it?
Yeah.
Jazakallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm good.
Good, alhamdulillah. Do you want to start reciting?
Yes.
Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم
Would you like some help, or would you like me to recite? Would you like to recite independently?
I would like to do independently.
Okay, go ahead and recite.
لإلاف قريش.
Okay, so when let me just stop you, Jazakallah. That was really good reading. I can see you're really fluent in recitation. So there are places where we have to elongate, and so some of the rules you have learned are, for example, this rule here. Do you know what rule that is? Do you know that's a vertical fatha? Do you know how long we are to recite that for?
2 seconds.
Yes, okay. And the same applies here. This is also 2 seconds, and this is also a 2 seconds, okay? So let's try that again. Go ahead and recite it again. So
لإلاف قريش.
okay, let me help you to recite the elongations in this case, and then hopefully we'll move on. So لإلاف قريش.
لإلاف قريش.
Okay, Jazakallah. Go ahead and bear in mind what you see in front of you is what you need to pay attention to. You can see these rules here. You know they are for 2 seconds each. Okay, go ahead and recite.
إلافهم الشتاء والصيف.
Okay, Jazakallah, that was a really good attempt. Well done. I can see you're reciting quite well. Let me help you, and I'll go through it with you little by little, because some of these rules are quite tricky, and there's quite a few rules here, but I'll help you with that, okay? So, إِلَافِهِمْ
إلافهم
رِحْلَةَ الشِّتَاءِ.
رحلة الشتاء.
And over here we have a small hamza, and when we stop here, we have to stop with a slight jerk sound, but I'm going to continue anyway. So, was-sayf.
It was safe.
Yeah, okay, Jazakallah. So, فَلْيَعْبُدُوا
فليعبدوا
رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ.
رب هذا البلد.
Rabba, this here is the rule we just went over today. Can you see this here? Do you know what sign that is there? It's not very clear here, but it's exactly the same as this little sign. MashaAllah, well done, you were listening. So yeah, can you tell me what you have to do to the shadda to recite the letter beneath it? You have to see the letter before it that joins or that carries is a vowel letter that carries a stroke. And the shadda has to be recited strongly. And remember, how many letters are beneath the shadda?
2.
MashaAllah, you were listening. Wonderful. Okay, yes. So this is how we recite this, not rabba, which would be slightly softly, but rabba. So remember to read both of them. Rabba hadhal bayt.
رب هذا البيت
الذي
الذي
أطعمهم
أطعمهم
من
من
جوع
جوع
There's a slight nasal sound between the ayn and the waw, even though there's a mushaddat there, there's a slight nasalization because of the tanween that you practiced last week. Okay? آمنهم من خوف. Sound. خوف. MashaAllah, you read it very, very well. I'm just going to point out to you the lesson that we were learning included this rule here. So when you see a shadda above a meme, you have to hold the meme for 1 second extra, and the sound goes into your nasal passage. So it sounds like this. hum min khawf. Rather than hum min, it's hum min khawf. Yeah.
hum min khawf.
Okay, mashallah, you did really, really well. You read very well. Keep remembering to stick to all the elongations. So remember, while you're reciting, be aware of which vowels, which indications of which strokes are there, and recite them accordingly. Jazakallah, Jazakallah G2626. Can we have another student to the mic, please?
Can G2722 please unmute themselves?
G2722. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. Jazakallah. Do you want to start reciting?
Okay. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
Okay, before you do recite, I would just like to just quickly help you out a bit. So when we're reciting the Holy Quran, because it's the word of Allah, it's better to recite it very slowly so that we can take in what we're reading and we can read according to the rules. So read each word slower. If you could go ahead and do that, should I help you?
Yes, please.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Li'ilafi Quraysh.
Fi Quraysh.
Okay, so when we're reciting Fatha, Dhamma, and Kasra, the sounds are A, E, and U. So try this again. Li, Li,
Fi Quraysh.
Well done, because you recited this one very well as well. So well done for making that correction. And again, the same thing over here. So when we're reciting Al-Fatha, it's Quraysh, Ora sound, yeah? Okay, do you want to try that again? I'll recite, and if you just follow me, because you're doing really well, mashallah. Li-ila-fi Quraysh.
Fi Quraysh.
Quraysh. Qu is a really tricky sound. Qu.
Quraysh.
Quraysh. Ra and
Quraysh.
Quraysh. Quraysh.
Quraysh.
Much better, mashallah. Okay, keep going. Ilafihim.
Fihim.
Okay, notice that these two, do you know what rule this is here?
Inverted kasra, vertical kasra,
Okay, so yes, vertical kasra is there. What's that rule there?
vertical fatha.
Well done. How long are we to recite them for?
2 seconds.
Okay, so try to recite them for the correct amount of time. So it's Ilafihim.
Fihim.
Rihlata shita.
Rihla tashita.
MashaAllah, okay, you read very well, but this here is quite tricky because this is much longer than we think it is. Okay, so it's about between 5 and 7 seconds. So, Rihlata shita.
Rihla tashita.
Okay, Iwaswaif.
He was safe.
Okay, فليعبدوا
فليعبدوا
رب هذا البيت
رب هذا البيت
الذي
الذي
أطعمهم من
أطعمهم من
جوع
جوع
Okay, notice the elongation is 2 seconds. جوع
وجوع
آمنهم من خوف
أمنهم من خوف
Min khawf.
Min khawf.
Okay, mashallah, you did really, really well. And I just want to quickly check. Do you know what this here is?
Tashdid.
Okay, and what does it mean when there's a tashdid above the letter?
It means the letter is joined.
Mashallah, well done. And beneath the tashdid, there are two auras. There's not one, but there are two. Yes?
Yes.
And what does that mean to join? What do you have to join it onto?
The next letter.
The letter?
The letter before.
Okay, and which letter before it? A
The-
voweled letter.
The most recent vowel letter.
Right, okay, so which one is over here? Which one would it be?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's the he in this case, because as you can see, it carries a mark, a stroke. This is a kasra. Between them, you see an alif and a lam. You don't read those. You join the he onto the ra. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Jazakallah G27.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Can I have another student to the mic?
Can G2751 please unmute themselves?
G2751. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Wa alaikum assalam warahmatullah. Okay, we're just going to quickly go through another surah, which is Surah Al-Kafirun, which is a Meccan surah, part number 30, chapter number 109. Number of verses are 7 and number of rukus are 1. The order of revelation is 18. And so go ahead. Would you like to recite this, or would you like some help? So I'll recite it for Bismillah for you, and let's see how it goes, yeah? Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Jazakallah, okay. Do you want me to recite, or are you going to try?
Can you please recite?
Yes. قل يا أيها الكافرون.
قل يا لا
Okay, it's okay. Sometimes there's a lot of rules and letters, so it gets quite confusing. Let me help you. قل يا
قل يا
أيها الكافرون.
أيها
الكافرون.
الكافرون.
لا أعبد ما تعبدون.
ما تعبدون.
Okay, mashallah, you're doing very well. ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. MashaAllah. ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد. أعبد. So the alif sounds slightly different to the ayn. Try not to get them together. So this really, you're pronouncing it so well, but try not to get them confused. This alif is a and this is a So ma a'bud. Okay, it's quite tricky simply because they are similar sounding letters. So you have an alif here and an ayn. And this alif is a, this is a r sound, really tight from your throat, yeah? And you're reading really well. If you could try that again. So, ma'a'bud.
Ma'abud.
Much better. Okay, so you can see your pronunciation of the ayn is very, very good. But the ayn comes from the middle of the throat and it tightens, while the alif is an ah. It comes from inside your throat, so basically like a soft sound, ah, rather than ah. And ayn is very strong sound, and you've pronounced it very, very well, mashallah. Okay, try not to get them confused. It's very easy to do. Okay. Lakum dinukum.
Lakum dinakum.
So what is that there, that vowel? What is that stroke there?
A dhamma.
Okay, wonderful. What's the sound of the dhamma?
U.
Okay, so lakum dinukum.
Lakum dinukum.
Walijadin.
Walijadin.
Mashallah, well done G2751. That was really good reading, and I can see you've mashallah learned very, very well. Jazakallah for that. Jazakallah.
Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, Jazakallah. Okay, so now on to the next part of our lesson today. And the lesson is our letter in focus. And the letter in focus today is the qaf. So this is how this letter sounds. Qaf. Okay. So you can see that the letter is shaped like it has a small, let's call it a blob, and then it goes around and it follows right up and it comes around like a tail. And above it, you can see it has 2 dots above it. And you can see that this letter can actually join to the previous letter. Some letters can't join to letters that follow them. But this letter can join to the previous letter, and it can also join to the letter that follows it. So the sound comes from the furthest back part of the tongue and it touches the roof of the mouth, so it blocks the throat. So imagine where your tongue, the root of your tongue starts, and your throat, that's where this sound comes from. So the sound is qaf, qaf, and there's no air coming out while I'm saying it. My tongue is touching my throat while I'm saying it. Qaf. Okay, so you can see the three ways it joins in when it's written inside a word. So you can see, notice the blob that we mentioned before, and that's the beginning. If you see in the beginning of a word, this is how it looks. You can see, let me change my pointer 1 second. No, okay, 1 second. There we go. I think that's right. Okay, you can see this blob shape here, and it joins, as you can see, when it joins from the beginning, it's following into the letter following it, and it connects well. And above it, you still see the 2 dots above it. That's what it looks like in the beginning. If you were to see this letter in the middle of a word, you would see that you can see the meme is there, and it follows into the qaf, and the qaf is now, notice that it has a loop shape here. And it loops around and it comes and then it joins on to the next letter. In this case, it's an alif. And above it, you can see the 2 dots. And in the case of it being a final letter in a word, you can see the ha, it is the middle letter and it's joining both ways. But afterwards, you can see it joins onto it and the same blob remains there and the ha joins into the blob. And you can see the slight rounded tail shape that comes from the qaf. That's how it looks when it's a final letter with the 2 dots above. So here you can see the 3 examples. If it was in the beginning of a word, that's what it looked like. When it's in the middle of a word, that's what it looks like. And when it's at the end of a word, that's what it looks like. So, okay, Jazakallah for that. Okay, I think we can go back to our practice. Can we have another student for the practice, please?
Can G2693 please unmute themselves?
G2693, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. G2693, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Okay, support teacher, can we have another student, please?
Can G2676 please unmute themselves?
G2676, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. G267.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you today?
Good, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. I just want to remind students just quickly while we're here that my support teacher should add she's added the Google Forms, the attendance form in the chat. If you can go and have a look at there and register your attendance for today, that would be really good. Okay, Jazakallah. G267 do you want to go ahead and start reciting, or would you like my help?
I'll be fine.
Go ahead, okay.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل يا أيها الكافرون
Okay, Jazakallah. Can you
لا
stop for a second? Jazakallah G2676. I just want to practice what we've just learned. So you're reading very well. This qaf here, and so we just practice the qaf. And if you could go ahead and try and recite this correctly. So it's qa, qul. Could you say that?
قل
Yeah, it's a really strong
قل
and it comes from the back of your throat. Try that again. Qul.
قل
Okay, so can you see this kaf here and this kaf? Can you recite this one? Recite that one for me.
قل
And this one?
ka
Okay, so there should be a distinct difference between them in sound. So this qaf is sounding like q, and this is ka. There's a difference between them both. Yeah, do you want to try that again? Q, q.
ku
Much better. Can you see your tongue is now squeezing at the back of your throat? Can you try that again one more time?
قل.
Much better. Can you see the difference?
Yes.
Yeah, well done. Much better. Well done. Okay, go ahead and recite that again. Try the sound of the qaf as well. Go ahead.
قل يا أيها الكافرون
Much better. Okay. Okay, go ahead, recite.
لا أعبد ما تعبدون ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد لكم دينكم ولي دين.
Okay, mashallah, you recite very well. You know all of the rules. As I suggested to one of the students before, try and take it slowly. It's much better to recite the Holy Quran slowly and thoughtfully, because then we can adhere to all of the rules. Okay, so can I just quickly ask you how long this is supposed to be for?
Is it 3 counts?
Yes. Okay. So 3 to 5 counts. Okay. So when we're reciting, what happens is we know the rules, but it's sometimes very tough to adhere to them. And if we read slowly, you're much more capable of reading all of the rules correctly. So try that again if you want to recite from here again.
ولا أنتم عابدون ما أعبد.
Okay, that was much better. Okay, so over here there's an ikhfa here, and I'm sure you've learned the ikhfa rule, which is the noon sakin rule. So when you come across a noon sakin and certain letters come after it, then it is supposed to be partially nasalized. So antum.
أنتم.
So there's a difference between and and when we say if you take your tongue away from the tip of from touching anywhere, so the tip of your tongue doesn't touch. If you just remove it from touching anywhere, antum
أنتم
abiduna
عابدون
ma a'bud.
ما أعبد.
Mashallah, you recite really well. Okay, go ahead and recite the rest of it again.
ولا أنا أعبد ما أعبد.
Okay, what happened? Yeah, it's okay. So what happened is that you're reciting this one as a hamza. So this is actually a. ولا أنا عابد ما عبدتم. Yeah, عبدتم.
عبدتم.
Yeah, and this is the rule we were focusing on today. What is this rule here?
Nasalization.
Okay, and how do you do the nasalization? With a mushaddad meme or a mushaddad noon?
You use your nose pipe.
For how long?
2 seconds.
Okay, and how would you recite? What letter would you connect it to in this case?
The dal.
Okay, mashallah, well done. You learned well. Okay, so how are you going to recite this again? Try it from here. B.
بدم ما أبطتم.
Okay, so this is what I was teaching you. So this here meme has two memes in it. The first meme, imagine as if you were holding on to the first meme. Okay, try it that way. عابد ما عبدتم.
بدم ما أبطتم.
Okay, notice that I've held on to it for a second longer, the first meme in this case. عابد ما عبدتم.
بدم ما أبطتم.
That's the correct way of nasalization, yes? So the difference between the incorrect or the way that is if you weren't doing the nasalization is عابدum, or but the correct recitation is عابدum عبدتم. Yeah? You notice the difference?
Yes.
Yes, and the same occurs when you see a noon mushaddad as well. That is what nasalization is. Okay, Jazakallah. Do you want to? Okay, I think it's better to give another student a go. So Jazakallah, G2676. You read very, very well. Jazakallah. Can I have another student, please?
Can G2655 please unmute themselves?
G2655. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. Do you want to start reciting?
Of course. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim.
Go ahead.
Qul ya ayyuhal kafirun.
Okay, mashallah, you're reading really well. There's a lot, as I said, there's lots of rules there, but you're reading really well. Do you want some help? I think it's better if we go slow and I can help you, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. قل يا أيها
Qul ya ayyuhal
الكافرون
kafirun.
لا أعبد
La a'budu
ما تعبدون
ma
تعبدون.
ta'budun.
MashaAllah, that's really tricky sound and you made it very well. So your throat tightens at the back. تعبدون
Ta'budun.
ولا
Wala
أنتم
antum
عابدون
abiduna
ما أعبد
ma a'bud
أعبد
a'bud
ولا
wala
أنا
ana
بضم
abidum ma.
So this is the rule that we learned. This is the ghunna, the nasalization of the meme. And in order for you to do it, you have to hold on to the meme. There are two memes there, and you have to hold on to the first one. عابدum ما
Abidum ma
عبدتم
abadtum
عبدتم
عبدتم
ولا
ولا
أنتم
أنتم
عابدون
عابدون
ما أعبد.
ما
So this is a really tricky sound. Let me help you there. أعبد.
أعبد.
That's right. So you make your throat really tight at the back to say this letter here. Yeah, you did it very well. أعبد
أعبد
لكم دينكم.
لكم دينكم.
Okay, so make sure you don't elongate it where it doesn't need to be elongated. You see this vowel here? This is, do you know how long we recite that for?
One.
What's the vowel there? What is that stroke? What's it called? It's called a fatha, yes? And we recite it for 1 second and softly. So lakum, not lakum, it's lakum. Lakum dinukum.
لكم دينكم.
So that looks quite, I'm not sure it's very clear for you, but that is a dhamma. It's the same as this here. Can you see that one there? And this one? And that's a oo sound, so no in this case, yeah? Dinukum
دينكم
waliyadin.
ولي
Waliyadin.
وليدين.
Okay, Jazakallah. That was really well read. I know some of it's quite tricky, but you read very, very well. So Jazakallah G2 655. Jazakallah. Let me just, Allah Hafiz, Jazakallah. Okay, so can we have one more student, please?
Can G2 636 please unmute themselves?
G2 636. Assalamu alaikum. Very
Assalamu
quickly, if you can do it. Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullah. Would you like to start reading?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم لي
Okay, I will help you go through this because it's quite tricky. Okay, so li-ilafi.
لإيلاف قريش
Okay, keep going.
إيلافهم رحلة الشتاء والصيف.
Okay, that's really tricky. You read very well. So the elongation here is 5 to 7 seconds. Just bear that in mind. And I've noticed you read very well. You tashi and wasway. You joined the tashdid very well. So, okay. So do you want to read from here again? Rihlat
الشتاء والصيف
waswayf. Waswayf. Okay, because of lack of time, I'm just going to quickly help you through this. فَلْيَعْبُدُوا
فليعبدوا
رَبَّ هَذَا الْبَيْتِ.
رب هذا البيت.
This here might look like a meme, but it's tricky to see. It's a ba. الذي
الذي أطعمهم من
أطعمهم من. Remember the meme mushaddad rule that we just learned? You have to hold on to it for the nasalization to occur. So min, yep. So أطعمهم من جوع.
أطعمهم من جوع إن هذا
Iwa. So this is a no. Yeah, and so sorry, this is a yeah.
آمنهم من خير
Okay, let me read that for you.
خوف
Mashallah, well done. جوع وآمنهم من خوف.
جوع
آمنهم من خوف.
في
خوف. So when we stop here, this turns into a sakin fa. Yeah?
خوف.
Oh, okay, mashallah. Jazakallah G2.
Should I read the ending prayer?
So my support teacher will be choosing so that every student gets a chance to recite. And inshallah, hopefully we'll give you a chance to recite the ending prayer another time. Jazakallah 2636. Jazakallah for reciting. You did very well. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Okay, so Jazakallah students. So we'll just quickly recap what we've done today. So we've just gone through the rule and the revision that we did, which was mushaddad letters join on to the most recent mutaharrik letters, and we ignore all the letters in between. Nasalization is a special case of tashdid, and nasalization occurs on two letters, and the two letters are mim mushaddad and noon mushaddad. The practice text that we did today was chapter 106, verse 1 to 5, and chapter 109, verses 1 to 7. The letter of the day today is qaf, and the sound comes from the furthest back part of the tongue that touches the roof of the mouth, blocking the throat. The references in the book Talimul-Quran are on pages 134 to 137. The homework for today is to practice and apply the rules we've revised so far in your daily tilawat, and pay attention to all the rules revised so far. And Jazakallah. So this material is all available on the drive that you've been sent, the link that you've been sent. And by going to that link, you can click onto these, and then if you click here, it takes you straight to if you would like to contact us, and if you'd like to listen to the tilawat, it takes you to alislam.org, and you can find the Talimul-Quran over here, and the website for our website link is here. So on back to the dua for today. So we're just going to scoot down, and can I have a student for the closing dua, please?
Can G2621 please unmute themselves?
G2621. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum. G2621. Can we have another student, please?
Assalamualaikum.
Oh, assalamu alaikum. Is that G2621?
Yes.
Okay, Jazakallah. So would you like to recite?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Allahumma arhamni Bil-Qur'anil azim waj'alhu li imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahmah.
Jazakallah. And the translation?
O Allah, have mercy on me through the Quran, the Great, and make it for me the leader, the light, the guardian, and the wise.
Okay, Jazakallah. Jazakallah G2621. And that's the end of our class today. Jazakumullah to all of you for joining our class today. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.